the uncontacted tribe were speaking in monkey calls.
Yeah, he was like, get out of there. And he was like, because they will use the Tinamu calls.
Deep in the unexplored regions of the world lies uncontacted tribes who have no idea the outside world exists. Over the course of thousands of years, these fascinating groups have evolved superhuman abilities, which scientists have no explanation for. While hosting explorers on the Joe Rogan Podcast,
he got in the water and like crawled like a turtle and like escaped. I think there's like over 100 different groups across the Amazon.
Joe Rogan goes deep into the secrets of these bizarre abilities, especially the 9 tribes who easily violate the very laws of physics, starting with this indigenous tribe that breathes underwater longer than any human on Earth. With the development of modern technology, divers can easily travel to the depths of the ocean using special apparatus. However, there is a tribe that has never set their eyes on these diving equipment, yet can easily breathe underwater for up to 4 minutes. Meet the Moken people, a group of people who don't really have a place to call home. They originally relocated from South China and now dwell on the islands and villages off to the mainlands of Thailand and Burma. Today, they're commonly referred to as the Sea Gypsies, majorly because their entire lifestyle is centered around the sea. They live off the sea, collecting food, free-diving, and living on boats known as kabangs, which are usually separated from the mainland. However, this special gift has been both a blessing and a curse. Due to their unique nature, the Moken people have been treated unfairly by the mainland people of Thailand. But despite the persecution, these tribes continue to thrive, spending time with their families and hunting for seafood on the open sea. Because their entire lives are centered around the water, they have a vast knowledge of the sea and live entirely off fishing and the beachcombing. Even when they need other materials like petrol and food like rice, they simply exchange their catch with outsiders. This is the only time they come in contact with the outside world. However, the most fascinating story about this tribe involves their children. You see, the Moken's diet is mostly composed of fish. To catch their daily meal, young tribe members free dive without scuba gear of any kind. They've done this so much that their bodies have evolved over the years. Now they can hold their breath for up to 4 minutes, compared to the average person who can only spend 30 to 90 seconds. In addition, the tribe also enjoys unbelievably sharp vision underwater. Young kids from this tribe spend much of their days in the waters, diving for seafood. This ability isn't just reserved for the upper echelons of the tribe, though. As a matter of fact, anyone can easily learn this skill, and all it takes is just a little practice. As soon as the world got to know that these tribesmen existed, news of their impressive diving abilities soon spread far and wide. It didn't take long for scientists to storm their habitat, seeking the secrets behind their unusually powerful vision. In the year 1999, Anna Gislin from the University of Lund came to the Moken tribes as part of a special research program. Gislin, accompanied by her daughter, came to Thailand to get herself acquainted with the tribe. Whenever the tides came in, the Moken children splashed around in the water, diving down to pick up food that lay meters below what she and her daughter could see. They had their eyes wide open, fishing for clams, shells, and sea cucumbers with no problem at all, she said. Gislin figured that in order for the Moken children to see clearly underwater, they must have either picked up some adaptation that fundamentally changed the way their eyes worked, or they had learned to use their eyes differently underwater. Speaking of special abilities, ever heard of the tribe with skin so tough they don't feel pain? That's the Hadza tribe. Imagine a group of people so fearless that eat honeycombs like snacks with the bees still inside. They are situated just south of the equator, between the soda waters of Tanzania's lake, known as Eyasi, and the ramparts of the Great Rift Valley. With a population of approximately 1,300 hunter-gatherers, they're recognized as one of the original last tribal hunters in Africa. The Hadza men hunt using homemade bows and arrows. The bowstrings are made from animal tendons. The arrows are crafted from wood and tipped with stone heads, which are always coated with poison extracted from tree bark. Any prey that comes in contact with them never survives. If a bow manages to shoot down a particular prey, the bow will be decorated with the skin of the animal. For the Hadza tribe, hunting is a lifestyle, so they go out every single day, seeking animals to feed on. So they prepare and consume their catch on the spot, without bothering to return back to camp. Many times, the largest part of the meat goes to the hunters, and any leftovers are shared with the rest of the tribe. Because of the abundance of food available in the forest where they live, the Hadza tribe don't keep whatever they catch for the next day. Instead, they only source for what could feed them for a day, and the struggle continues the following day. The Hadza tribe do not only eat meat, they also feed on tubers, baobab fruit, berries, and most importantly, honey. However, the most awe-inspiring and fascinating part of this tribe is in their search for honey. In the forest, beehives are located high up in thick-trunked baobabs and guarded fiercely by fearsome soldier bees. Because of this, the honey is often difficult to access. However, the Hadza people easily feast on these honeycombs without fear of the bees. This is because after years of living in the forest, their skin has become so thick that the bee stings don't bother them. That's not all though, because the Hadza people also possess a special ability to communicate with birds. Whenever it's time to hunt for honey, the Hadza people shout and whistle a special tune directly to the birds, and they guide them to the beehives, chattering and fanning out their feathers. The tribesmen then smoke out the bees by building a large fire so they could collect their honey. As for the wax and the remnants, they leave those for the birds to feed on. Some people claim they have an incredible immune system that reacts to the bees' venom, shutting out any form of pain or reaction. While this is quite impressive, it pales in comparison. These curious-looking beings are known as the Asaro mudmen, considered to be the pride of Papua New Guinea. Dripping in colors like the exotic birds is a common practice among the tribes living in this region, but none can be compared to the mudmen. Although they're the least adorned of all of them, they're probably one of the most feared. On a regular day, the mudmen appear smeared with white clay from their neck to their toes. The warriors among them have arrows nocked in their bows, spears, and heavy clubs to both defend and attack whenever necessary. A few of them even wear red-painted bamboo on their fingers, filed to razor point and giving the feel of a giant claw. But while other tribes smear their bodies with mud whenever they're on their way to war, the Asaro tribe wears it to avoid battle. Many people have romanticized the appearance of the mudmen. They believe this helped them look fierce and powerful in battle, but that's not entirely true, because the Asaro people simply want to look scary. By generating fear, they built up a terrifying reputation, so most people just leave them alone. But how did these people come up with this appearance? And most importantly, why? Well, the story takes us back to 2 centuries ago, when the Asaro people were shy, retiring jungle dwellers who didn't really interact with any of their neighboring communities. One fateful day, they were suddenly attacked by a more powerful tribe, so they fled into the nearby Asaro River. As their attackers reached the river, they came upon some strange figures coated in white and gray river mud. Believing that they just encountered the ghost spirits of the tribesmen they killed, the assailants fled the place in panic. After seeing the whole thing unfold from their hiding place, they decided to play into it a little. In preparation for future attacks, they coated their whole bodies with mud, leaving only their faces. This was due to their belief that the Asaro River was poisonous. Instead of using mud for their faces, the Asaro people used rocks, sticks, and whatever else they could find to create these scary masks. The next time another tribe tried to attack them, they also fled as soon as they set their eyes on them. Soon, their reputation as fierce fighters spread like wildfire, and just like they wanted, everyone finally left them alone. Not everyone puts on a ghostly appearance to scare off their neighbors, though. Some choose to live high up in the trees just to survive. Mask dances, wooden sculptures, impressive architecture, and bizarre religious traditions, known as the Skeleton Tribe. Embedded within their culture are unique practices and traditions that have been passed down through history. The origins of the Skeleton Tribe can be traced back to an intriguing history. About 200 years ago, a significant number of their hunters went hunting in the mountains, but unfortunately, they never came back. This mysterious disappearance raised an alarm among the village dwellers. As a result of this incident, a group of brave warriors descended into the mountain to explore the truth. They stumbled upon a cave full of many skeletons. Although it was a small cave, once inside, the men saw a giant monster. In an attempt to escape, they hid themselves in the crevices, but they could only hide for so long. As soon as they came out, the monster would devour them without mercy. So to deceive this creature, they decided to paint their bodies with skeleton bones, made of black and white clay. This way, they would appear like the falling hunters, blending it with the one on the ground. They waited until the monster fell asleep, before hatching their plans and returning to their village. However, the Skeleton Tribe's unique practices also extend beyond their body art. Their way of life, deeply rooted in their cultural traditions, is a symbol of their identity. The tribe celebrates this through vibrant dances, enchanting songs, and rhythmic drumming. Speaking of special dance, ever heard of the tribe that can defy gravity, jumping higher than any other human on Earth? It was only recently that we got to know that the Korowai tribe exists in the first place. Up until the 1970s, there's no record of any contact between this fascinating tribe. The world didn't know that they existed, and they didn't know the rest of the world existed. Their houses were exceptionally tall, sometimes stretching up to 140 feet. Many scientists have tried to explain how they learned to build these marvelous structures, but it appears the skill might be a part of their DNA. These massive structures sit on stilts, which can only be accessed by a wooden ladder. The pole in the middle is made from a tree known as the banyan. As for the floor and the walls, the Korowai tribe use the bark of sago palm, while the roof is crafted out of sago leaves. It wasn't until 1974 before the Westerners would meet with the tribe for the first time, after a group of scientists decided to explore the area. Many of the members of this tribe don't really like meeting with outsiders. They believe that these strange outsiders carry demons and evil spirits, and if there's anything the Korowai are obsessed over, it's evil spirits. It's even one of the reasons they practiced cannibalism in the past. Because of their belief in evil spirits, they believed it was necessary to kill and eat a person who they believed had been possessed by a kakua, or a demon. As a matter of fact, they are considered the last indigenous tribe to quit cannibalism, at least officially. That's not all, though. Speaking on episode 1240 of the Joe Rogan Experience, Forrest Galante explained how the Korowai of Papua Guinea managed to escape any form of disease from their cannibalism. Unlike other cannibalistic cultures that suffer from varying kinds of disease, it appears that this Papua New Guinea tribe has developed resistance to any side effects. Scientists believe this could be because they don't consume human flesh regularly, or maybe it's all thanks to their spiritual powers. Up until the 1970s, the Korowai simply believed in witchcraft. They believed demons were real and that any fatal illness must be blamed on the evil spirits. They don't exactly believe in diseases or sickness. According to their ideologies, all forms of death come at the hands of evil spirits. One major skill that has helped these tribes survive for so long in the middle of nowhere is their hunting ability. Although their bow and arrow may look like toys at first, the Korowai have learned to hunt animals with tons of efficiency. They don't stop there, though. As a highly territorial group, the Korowai defend their land from invaders and will not hesitate to take any unwelcome guests. You know who else defends their lands with the last drop of their blood, but even more fiercely? To the superhuman strength of the Maori tribe. Emerging from East Polynesia, the Maori tribe arrived in New Zealand in several waves of canoe voyages roughly between 1320 and 1350. And for centuries, this indigenous tribe has occupied New Zealand. Their distinctive costumes portray an expression of their heritage, reflecting their deep connection to the land and their ancestral spirits. When these groups arrived on the island, their canoes carried not just people, but also a collective spirit. However, as more time passed, various tribes, like the Iwi and Hapu, were created in different regions. Each of these tribes was distinguished because of their own identity and traditions. The Maori tribe are especially known for their rich and great culture, expressed through their language, art, music, and dance. One of their most iconic cultures is the traditional war dance, which holds an immense cultural significance in their tradition, known as haka. The haka is performed with powerful, synchronized movements that not just everybody can pull off, vocal chants. Members of these tribes are so strong that they're considered one of the most naturally fit tribes on the planet. Then there's the intense facial expressions they make during the dance, used to express emotions, convey messages, and welcome visitors. It serves as a symbol of unity, strength, and resilience for the Maori tribe. But that's not the most interesting part of this tribe. Over the years, the Maori combat culture has earned them a reputation as some of the most fearsome warriors in the South Pacific. With unique body paintings all over their bodies, the men and women of this tribe easily strike fear in the heart of their enemies. This tribe were among the most dangerous warriors ever encountered by the British. During their advances, they showcased a strong combat code and a lengthy history of warfare. Learning to be a warrior starts from a tender age. It is from then that they begin training on how to use various distinctive weaponry, fighting methods, and the now famous haka dance. By the time they grow up, the tribesmen would be strong enough to defend the tribe. While the Maori people have battled several challenges throughout history, including colonization and cultural assimilation, they managed to preserve their identity and traditions. Today, Maori culture is an integral part of New Zealand society. If you thought the body painting on the Maori people was scary, though, wait till you see the tribe that literally walk around like actual creepy skeletons. In the heart of Mindima, in the Simbu province of Papua New Guinea, is a community with a rich and captivating history. Meet the Maasai tribe. only a few people still don't know that this tribe exists. After all, they're the most famous indigenous tribe in Africa. The Maasai people are a Nilotic ethnic group occupying selected but large parts of northern, central and southern Kenya and across the border in northern Tanzania. Due to their traditional history from areas surrounding Masai Mara Game Reserve and near Amboseli, near the Tanzanian border, they became famous as the best-known ethnic people in East Africa. The reason the Maasai people are so unique lies in their fashion sense, diet, and way of life. Different lifestyles and beliefs span through our ages, but this tribe grabs maximum attention. For the Maasai people, dead people don't really need proper burial. Instead, they choose to leave their dead on the field to be eaten by scavengers. According to their beliefs, burying a dead tribe member is harmful to the earth, so instead, they give them out as food to the wild animals. However, the case is quite different if the deceased person is a great chief. Away from all of these, the Maasai also have a unique wealth distribution system. Usually, wealth is measured based on the number of cattle, wives, and children each Maasai owns. This simply means Maasai men can take as many wives to themselves so they can have a lot of children. Everything then expands even bigger as soon as the children are old enough to look after the herds. Once the father dies, the children can then take over the possessions. It is the job of every wife to build her own house for her children within her husband's village. In addition, there's also a hierarchy among the wives, one of which states that the first wife holds the most value and power, and her house is built closest to the husband. The Maasai people are also the bravest and fearless hunters and warriors living in the wild. Hunting the king of the jungle is child's play to them, and they see it as the bravest thing a worthy warrior has to achieve. For this reason, places like the Serengeti were transformed into national parks and protected, while the Maasai tribe were forced out in order to preserve the wildlife. The good news is that this tradition has been replaced since the year 2008 with a sports competition to prove manhood amongst the warriors. This is known as the Maasai Olympics and involves the display of traditional Maasai warrior skills, including running, hunting, cattle herding, and even dancing. The traditional Maasai diet consists of meat, blood, milk, fat, honey, and tree bark. Usually they drink both fresh and curdled milk. The fresh milk is drunk from calabash and sometimes mixed with fresh cattle blood. The way they extract this blood is also very fascinating. While appearing on the Joe Rogan Podcast, a guest who once paid a visit to the Maasai described how they get the blood without killing the cattle. You see, the blood is carefully extracted by shooting an arrow into the cattle's neck. After draining the blood, the wound is then sealed up with their age-long techniques, which work like magic in preserving the life of the cattle. However, drinking blood mixed is not exactly their daily lifestyle. In reality, it's just a tradition, which is usually done as a ritual as well as a source of nourishment for the sick. Bulls, oxen, and lambs are slaughtered for meat on special occasions and for ceremonies. The Maasai's entire way of life truly revolves around their cattle, so they don't kill them often. More recently, the Maasai people have supplemented their diet with farm crops such as maize meal, rice, and cabbage, among other food crops. But the part most people are fascinated about is their physical appearance. Because of their impressive height, the tribe performs a special jump dance, which is a major part of their culture. This entails jumping to the highest height possible without leaning on anything. Members of this tribe are known to jump higher than a normal human being can, defying gravity and breaking the very laws of nature. The Maasai are the tallest people in Africa and are very strong, thanks to their rich calcium diet. The Maasai are the most famous indigenous tribe in Africa because they've been known and studied for years, unlike the next one, who are practically invisible. But before we go on, here's our subscribers' pick for today. Ever heard of the tribe that defies gravity? No, not the Maasai. Unlike those, members of this particular tribe don't jump in the air. Instead, they're capable of walking on walls just like this image captures. According to the stories shared on the Joe Rogan Experience, people of this tribe violate all laws of physics, and no one can explain how they do it. Locked away from the rest of the world for thousands of years, this strange clan has developed perhaps the most impressive superpower in history. Do you think this is a real image though? Because according to a lot of people online, it appears to be doctored to prove fanciful stories that may not really be true. Share your thoughts with us in the comments down below. Now let's get back to the video. These are the pygmies of the Congos. Hidden in the corners of rainforests across Africa are a unique set of forest people, also known as pygmies. Although the word has been outlawed, the history of both the people and their titles goes way beyond the offensive use. A good example is the pygmies of the Ituri forest in northern Congo. The tallest of these people, known as the Mbiti, rarely grows taller than 5 feet, which is pretty weird, since they're one of the very few tribes on Earth who experience this stunted growth. But apart from the Mbuti, there are other major groups of forest people all over Africa. There's the Aka, who make their home in the Central African Republic and northern Congo. Then there's the Baka, whose home is located in southern Cameroon. Together, these groups number between 130,000 to 170,000. But what these tribes lack in height, they compensate for in strength. As hunter-gatherers, pygmies are incredibly strong, and even the regular members look pretty jacked despite never seeing gym equipment before. During an episode of the Joe Rogan Podcast, a guest talked about meeting these pygmies deep in the rainforest. He mentioned how they all appear so built and jacked, and how their hunter-gatherer lifestyle has played a key role in their appearance. However, their story ends on quite a sad note. You see, due to their small size, many cannibalistic tribes see them as easy targets they could kidnap and consume. Because of this, the pygmies are hunted both for their flesh and blood, which are consumed by other tribes. But over the years, they've learned how to protect themselves from these hunters. They're very good hunters, and the men especially spend most of their lives in the wild, searching for food for their families. Pygmies also love honey, which completes the gathering part of their lifestyle. Honey is an especially major part of their diet. The Mbuti people, for example, don't mind climbing 100 feet into the canopy to reach the beehives containing the honey. But unlike other bizarre tribes, they don't just grab it with their bare hands. As soon as they reach the beehive, the climbers burn wood to produce smoke that stuns the bees. This way, they're able to collect the honey without interruption. Pygmies aren't the only ones scared of cannibals, though. This next tribe had to literally transform into ghosts just to stay alive, moving through the jungle like a fiend. The indigenous tribe of Papua New Guinea strikes fear in the hearts of its neighbors. From their bizarre dance to the gray-coated bodies and oversized fright mask, everything about this tribe is rooted in spirituality. To both the outsiders and fellow forest dwellers, a few of the reasons the Dogon tribe is so famous. However, their defiance of gravity might just be more fascinating than these other traits. Unlike other tribes who make their homes on the ground, the Dogons chose to live high in the sky. The principal area where these tribesmen live is bisected by the Bandiagra Escarpment, a sandstone cliff that's about 1,600 feet high. On the southeast side of the cliff, you will find the sandy Sino-Gondo Plains, and on the northwest side lies the Bandiagra Highlands. But the Dogon didn't always live on the cliffside. Their decision to build villages in the Bandiagra area was inspired by the need to protect themselves. Over 1,000 years ago, a bunch of people who refused to convert to Islam ran to this place to get away from the invaders who weren't taking no for an answer. After losing a bunch of men to this senseless violence, the Dogon people decided to relocate to this defensible position where they could live without disturbance. That wasn't the only reason they chose this location, though. You see, because the Niger River is located nearby, the Dogon people saw a good water supply and chose to cast their new villages in this favorable place. But just like the Pygmies, the story of the Dogon people also takes a rather disturbing note. You see, for the past 1,000 years, this fascinating set of tribesmen have faced religious and ethnic persecution. Dominant Muslim communities hunt them down and continually persecute them for their beliefs. Many have been forced to convert just to stay alive, while those unwilling to compromise escaped to safer locations. But perhaps the most impressive thing about these people is their understanding of science, even though they've not interacted with the modern world. Back in the 1930s and the 1940s, French anthropologists Griol and Germain Dieterlen worked with a couple of Dogon people. These men spoke of their own system of signs, which ran into thousands. That's not all, though. They also had a system of astronomy and calendar measurement. They had an extensive knowledge of human anatomy and physiology, as well as a surface understanding of pharmacology. Dogon people also have a special reverence for twins, as they believe they are incarnate of the gods themselves. The birth of human twins was celebrated in the Dogon culture in Griol's day, because it recalled the fabulous past when all beings were made in pairs. Just like the ghosts of Papua New Guinea, they also wear a special mask with which they perform spiritual dances. Only men are allowed to participate in this strange ritual, but sometimes they also wear masks. The Dogon people have been promoting a culture of togetherness and exclusivity for years, and though they've met modern humans a couple of times, they remain one of the most secluded tribes in the world. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.